On the way to the hog pen, I review the fence to see if I see where any limbs have gotten on the electric wires. Generally that would be accompanied with a popping sound where it's arcing against it. Today the fence looks alright down here around the house. We still use the old style gaps. My husband made all these by hand. We did have the pole crossings, and he went ahead and put up a gate so that we could walk through it instead of having to climb over the poles to get into the pasture. The only thing holding it closed is this one pole that just leans against it and a rope tied around it. So here is the hog pen that my husband built. It's got a tin roof tied around it. I don't know if you can see it well, but we'll get closer to it. He actually did this very well. You see the slats are not all the way together to allow bending for the hogs. You can see here's the feed bucket, and the feed bucket is actually on a trough that pours down into the hog pen. And so that's how they're fed. You'll also notice that up here on the hog pen, my husband has put an air gap, like air conditioning. It's held up with just a piece of wire, and it's a board that lifts up and down. So when it's hot, which is most of the time now since it's late fall, we leave that up all the time to give them better circulation in the pen. Around the back sides of the pen, you'll notice that the bottom slats are off. He took these off so that not everything that's in the pen stays in the pen. Some of it can work its way out. Hogs are very clean animals and generally only go to the bathroom on one side. These hogs have chosen this side. So the board is down. They won't sleep where they have used the bathroom. So what we do is we take a stick. I keep him laying right over here against the tree. A long stick. I scrape out the pen every day down onto the ground. Then I take a shovel and I move it. I move it right over here. There's a pile right over here. And all that is sewage from the pigs. And the good thing about this is during the day or our chickens come down and eat in it. And at night the wild turkeys come in and the deer and eat the corn and stuff from the sewage from the hogs. Nothing goes to waste on High Mountain. When I remove the bucket from the trough, you'll see that there's stuff left in it. Well, my husband, Bernus, who thinks of everything, actually made a paddle. And this paddle, you can see the hogs there, this paddle you just take and you press the food, pushing it all in. And they'll clean up the rest. This is actually inside the pen with the hogs eating. They're good and healthy hogs. Good and healthy and well cared for. The Edward family has always taken good care of their animals. One of the things you learn is that when you get home in the afternoon, before anything else is done, the animals are fed. The only exception to this rule would be if you had a baby or something very small that wouldn't understand. Otherwise, you wait. All the animals will be fed and put up first before you take the first bite of supper. When we're preparing for tomorrow morning's feeding, we put all the stuff back into the bucket. This is the pellets that we use. This is what's called hog pellets. And we give them 2 cups of this now. We also give them chop, which is a mix of corn. We put that in there they get 1.5 cups of chop and 1.5 cups of just ground up plain corn in their bucket now. All that's mixed together and we add water to it. You have to put about 3/4 of a bucket of water and let it soak overnight so it'll swell up. As we put water in with the feed, we keep stirring it as we go till it gets to a pretty good consistency. The pellets will swell up overnight, and by in the morning it will be a pretty thick gruel that you'll have to re-stir and add water to again. One thing to remember is always use cold water when you're doing this. If you don't, it'll spoil.